Alright, welcome back to another hacking tutorial from Stealth Data 0. In today's video, I'm going to show you how you can use Beef to deliver payloads to multiple types of devices. I'm going to do an Android first, and then I'm going to try to do a Windows computer. But you can use any payload that uses a multi-handler from Metasploit or Armitage will work in this instance. I'm going to be using a program called EasySploit to generate my payload, so check out my EasySploit video if you want to look into that. But you can just generate the basic MSF Venom payloads that I've showed you guys how to make on my channel numerous times, just using Metasploit if you like, or you could use Veil Evasion or a Phantom Evasion payload if you want to try to bypass antivirus and things of that nature. So we'll be using Beef to deliver the payload with some social engineering techniques, because that makes it a lot more realistic, and more likely the person will download and execute the payload. And we're going to be using Metasploit to control the hacked device. So you're going to need to fire up a terminal. I'm going to get right into it because this video is going to be a little bit lengthy. So I'm just going to jump right into it. So you're going to need to start a few dependencies. You're going to need to start your Apache server. And I will say before this video starts, if you want to do this over the internet, listen carefully. You need to have port 80, which is your Apache server, port forwarded to your Kali Linux box. Beef needs to be port forwarded to your Kali Linux box. That's port 3000. Then whatever port you use, if you use port 4444 for your payload, that needs to be port forwarded to your Kali Linux box as well, in order for all of this to work over the internet. So you want to do service Apache 2 start, service PostgreSQL start, and service bef-xss start, to make sure you don't have any errors and make sure everything runs smooth. Then you can click this icon or type MSF console inside of your terminal to start up Metasploit. Once Metasploit is started, you're going to need to use your multi-handler. So use multi/handler. And then I'm going to be attacking an Android first. I'm going to try to do an Android device and a Windows device, but we'll do the Android device first. We'll see how long the video takes. So set payload. Your L host is always your internal IP address of your Kali Linux box, which you can find by typing ifconfig. You always want to use the same port that you did when making the payload. And I'm going to type exploit, but I'm not going to start the multi-handler just yet, because I do have port forwarding set up, and sometimes I get shells that come in from the wild that I have payloads released before. Okay, so now we got Metasploit ready and the multi-handler ready to listen for our connection from our malicious payload. So now we need to start Beef. You can do that by typing bef-xss or clicking this lovely icon down here. Now, if you are not caught up with Beef, check out my Getting Started with Beef. It will explain how you can use this piece of JavaScript and inject that into any website, and then anybody who goes to that website will get a a hooked browser, and then you'll be able to perform a large amount of commands. I'm also going to start up bef-xss to generate the payload. Now again, you could generate the payloads with veil evasion, phantom evasion, just the Metasploit, MSF Venom, anything that runs with the multi-handler. So you can do Windows, Linux, Macs, and Android for your payloads. We're going to do an Android payload. Control-Shift-T at the same time to split my terminal in half again. I'm going to type ifconfig. And this is your internal IP address of your Kali Linux box. This is what you need if you're going to be hacking over the same Wi-Fi. If you're doing it remotely, you would need to put your public IP address as the L host, and then whatever port you use needs to be port forwarded to your Kali Linux box. So I suggest using port 443 because it helps bypass firewalls, especially when hacking over the internet. But for the demonstration, I'm going to use 4444. So for example, if I wanted to do this remotely, I'd put my public IP address here on lhost and make sure port 4444 is port forwarded to my Kali Linux box. Now what this is going to do is generate my payload. This is called bef-xss. Check out my bef-xss video to get more information on this. It's basically just automation for Metasploit to generate reverse TCP payloads. It can launch Armitage, it can launch Metasploit, and it can also make persistence scripts, which is very, very handy. That helps you make sure that you don't lose your interpreter shell once you gain one. So right now we're just waiting for our payload to generate. And again, the thing with Beef is just social engineering. The better you can social engineer all around, the more success you'll have with hacking. So you've got to think outside of the box. I've made simple pages that just say, your browser is being redirected, please wait. Then I would say, hey, check out this Facebook post. Use Beef to make the fake Facebook pop-up, which I show you on my Getting Started with Beef video. And then it says your Facebook has timed out, please sign in. They sign in, and then I get their Facebook password. And then you can use Beef to redirect them straight to Facebook. You can also use the Beef redirect feature to just simply redirect them to a malicious page, which I show you how to make browser exploits on Metasploit and just getting an interpreter shell just by getting a Windows machine to visit a certain web page. So this is the temporary folder on my desktop where bef-xss is gonna leave my payload as soon as it's finished. This should just take a few more seconds. while that's going, I'm gonna start Beef. So you're gonna get your authentication page. If this doesn't pop up, just hit refresh and it will pop up. And your password is beef. And again, I urge you to check out my Getting Started with Beef video, because I go over it in a lot more detail. This is a very powerful framework. It can work with Wi-Fi Pumpkin, so you can check out my Wi-Fi Pumpkin videos. That puts a beef hook on every single page that the person visits, which is extremely powerful. And there's multiple ways to get passwords and deliver payloads that way. Alright, so right now I'm going to redirect one of my devices to the Beef page. So now you can see my Android device is hooked, and it has the Chrome browser, and Beef can hook all types of browsers and all types of OSs, everything from Linux to iPhone, so it covers the whole lot. And as you can see, EasySploit can make payloads for those devices as well. These are just the MSF Venom payloads, so they are detectable for the most part, but you can get away with using them. Alright, so we'll start with the Android device. And you can see it gives you a ton of details which you can use to figure out what exploits will work and what payloads will work. But what you need to do is click Commands. And you can see that our payload has been generated. So I'm going to go ahead and close this out. Alright, it looks like we got an error with Beef, so I'm just going to restart it, no biggie. And while that's starting, I'm going to move the shell APK, which is our payload. to our Apache folder. Now if you have anything in your Apache folder, you want to make sure it's empty when you do this attack. And of course you can transfer things via terminal, it's a lot faster. So it's the var www then HTML folder, and then if you have anything in there, you should have an index file. Just delete that and place your payload inside of the Apache folder. So now you'll be able to access that payload with this link here, and you can actually use the link in the raw. If you want someone to just reach your server, they can just type that in their browser. If you add the slash and then the shell APK or whatever you name your payload, then it will take them directly to that payload and they can download it. If you're doing it over the internet, this needs to be your public IP address and not your internal IP address. So right here is where the name of the payload goes, and then right here is where the your internal IP address or public IP address goes, depending on what you're hacking over the same Wi-Fi or the internet. I'm going to copy this link here because we're going to need that. Sorry about the lag. I gotta get a new screen recorder. My Kali Linux box is normally much faster than this. My screen recorder really seems to slow it down, and I'm not sure why. So again, I apologize about the lag. Alright, so you can hook browsers with this link or this link, and the link is your internal IP address, then double dot port 3000, then slash demos, then slash basic.html. You can send that link to anyone on the same Wi-Fi as you, or use your public IP address and send it out on the internet if you have port forwarding set up, and it will hook their browser like so. Once their browser's hooked, you'll be able to enter commands. So as you can see, again, it tells you a bunch of stuff about the device, cookies and all that good stuff. So you can get a lot of good information out of that. But where the real fun is in the command list. And here's all the commands where you can redirect the pages and stuff like that, but we're focused on the social engineering. Phone gap is for phones in particular. You can list files, geolocate, persistence. There's also persistence you can use, but I go over all of that stuff in my getting started with beef video, so we're going to go straight to social engineering. There's a couple different ways you can do it with a fake flash update. Here you can steal like iCloud emails and Facebook stuff. I go over that in my getting started with beef video. Here's Gmail phishing, fake flash update. It makes a flash player page pop up, and all these things look extremely convincing. This is one of my favorite ones, because it basically asks them to download an update and for whatever you name your payload. But I'm just going to do a fake notification bar that tells them that they need to update their browser. So once I click this, I'm going to need to use that link, and then I'll be able to send the link. Then they'll be able to click the pop-up, and it'll take them directly to my Apache server where the malicious APK is hosted. And they'll be able to download it. Now again, this is a lot better for computers, but it also works for phones as well. It's only better for computers because it's easier to install, because it simply asks them to save it, and then they can just run it and use it. Okay, so I got my pop-up. I started the download. So now I'm going to close beef up because we don't need beef anymore. We used it to deliver our payload, and that's all we needed it to do. So you can see how getting a beef hook can easily lead to a interpreter shell. You can redirect them to a malicious page made by Metasploit, which if you visit the page, it automatically gives you a interpreter shell. I have videos on that. Or you can deliver payloads like I showed you, and it's a lot better with social engineering involved. And it's a lot more convincing and easier to get people to download these payloads, because a lot of people have issues on getting people to run their payloads and install them, but if you use proper social engineering, it's not an issue. So I'm going to start my multi-handler. You see my settings here. Make sure you use capitals where I do. You always want your multi-handler set up before you send the payload, because you don't want to miss the opportunity of catching the malicious signal from the payload that you sent out. Now, as you can see, I have a interpreter shell from my computer going to the targeted Android device, which is the same internal IP address which we seen on the beef hook. And I can hit sys info. and it will give me the information of the device. We can hit help. It will give you a full list of commands. You can hide the application itself, collect text messages, webcam snap, all of that good stuff, and you have full control over the device. So webcam underscore snap, and this is to take a picture of the front camera, the one on the screen. TAC I2, I'm going to face it towards the computer, so the phone screen's facing towards the computer, and you'll see that it's taking it's going to take a picture, and you can actually do this and catch people's faces and stuff like that, and you can even stream the camera. So if you need to check the commands, just go ahead and press help, and it'll give you a huge list of commands that you can use. This is turned sideways. There's normally arrows here that you can switch it up, right side up, but you get the idea here. You have full control over the device. I was going to do the Windows device, but the video is already almost 30 minutes long, so I'm not going to do that. Again, once you have your interpreter shell, press help. Check out my persistence videos to make sure that you don't lose your interpreter shell. If you noticed, my interpreter shell closed, and if this was a real life scenario, if I didn't have persistence, I wouldn't have been able to get my interpreter shell back unless I was able to social engineer the person to re-click the app. Once you get a persistence backdoor, though, if you check out my how to backdoor Android video, it doesn't matter. You'll be able to get your interpreter shell back no matter what. So that is how you deliver a payload with Beef. So how a simple Beef hook, which you could put on Facebook, you could just send people links, can turn into full control over a device. Now this will work for Windows, Linux, Mac, across the board. It doesn't matter. Beef is also multi-platform, and you can also control more than one device at a time using Metasploit or Armitage. Hopefully you found the video informative. If you did, go ahead and drop a like. If you want to see more content like this, go ahead and subscribe. If you want to help the channel out, please share these videos with your friends. Share them on social media. That really helps us out. If you have any questions or anything I can do to make the videos better, let me know in the comments. If you like the video, let me know in the comments. And as always, have fun and keep hacking.